Okay, I need to stop being like that real quick. But Gwen Stacy, I'll save you. I'll save the world for the lizard. And the story we're doing, yeah, it ain't the same as the movie. Check it. The Amazing Spider-Man for the Nintendo Wii, buddy. Yep, my experience with the Amazing Spider-Man for the Nintendo Wii. Let's talk about it. All right. So before I get started, there was a lot I have to say. Right, I want to talk about like before I got the game because I kind of like doing that in my reviews now, where I kind of talk about the history of how I even got this game in the first place, so you guys can kind of get up to speed with just how I got the game and stuff. So why not give it a try and stuff? Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about it. Right. So how did I get the Amazing Spider-Man for the Wii? So it was one day, me and Louie, I decided to go with him because one day we were like, okay, Alan, I'm going to try and get you a new cap. I found us a Wario cap, or I found a Wario cap that I wanted you to wear or something like that at, Zia Records or whatever. And I was like, okay, I'm down to go get myself a new hat. Louis got paid a lot or something that day or whatever. Or not that day, but it was like a day or two later after buying a bunch of food and stuff. I was like, yo, let's go handle my Wario cap. Let's go figure that out and all that other sort of stuff. By the way, we didn't order it. Sad to say, we didn't order it, so I'm sticking with this. I'm sticking with this bad boy for however much longer. I don't know. But anyways, oh yeah. If you want to know why it looks so crisp and stuff, I just watched it. I literally just watched it not long ago. Anyways, as I was saying, right? We went to Zia Records. The Wario hat was not there. So I told them, you know what? If we couldn't get me a hat, a brand new hat for me to wear in like every video and stuff, why don't we go ahead and go get me a new game? Go get me a new game for the Wii. Go get me a new game for mainly the Wii, right? Because as you guys know, I love making Wii videos. I love playing the Wii. It's one of my favorite consoles, one of my favorite systems. So I was like, and you guys, I know you guys love the Undertale stuff, and a lot of other stuff that I do, but I also love playing stuff on my Wii. So I asked Louis, let's go out to Fallout Games in Tempe and, and stuff and go grab some games. So Louis was like, all right, bet, I guess fine or whatever, but we're going to get me a coffee first. And I said, bet, let's go get you a coffee. Then let's go hit up the video game store. Because Louis just said, fine, fuck it, I'll go get you your game or whatever, right? So we go ahead, we go to Fallout Games, which was a long drive over there. Then we spent a long time in the Wii section trying to find the game. I remember I found this game and two other games that I'm not going to showcase. But I remember I also found Spider-Man 1 for the GameCube in there as well. And Sonic Heroes and a lot of other things. Thousand Year Door, Double Dash. But Louis told me not to go over a $70 or $60 limit. Because he wanted to see the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, right? And the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie. So I said, okay, I'm going to try to get a couple of games so that way we can have enough money to go back. Like, because it costs $12 to take an Uber, and I guess it costs $11, $12, $13 to go back, like back home, safe and sound in an Uber, right? So, bet it up then. So basically what ended up happening was I grabbed Amazing Spider-Man and two other games. I sadly put Spider-Man for the GameCube back, and I really wanted that game because it was also $12. But I also really wanted the two other games as well for extra content for the channel and other things and whatnot and so on. So I brought this game home with the others. I remember this also simultaneously happened while Chris and what he had going on happened. So I literally just get home. I was about to pop in the game, or I was gonna like let the game relax a little bit, let the game sit a while and stuff. And I think what ended up happening was I called Ronnie, and he was telling me about what the hell was happening with him. I'm not gonna talk about it because it's none of y'all business, but I have to give you context to why Ronnie was even involved in the first place. So this is the context, right? So yeah, Ronnie was going through some shit, and after we talked about that for like 5, 10, 15, 20-ish minutes, I told him I went to Fallout Games, or I just got back from Fallout Games, and I got a brand new Spider-Man game. And Ronnie was saying, yo, which Spider-Man game? Because I can tell you which one. I gotta know. It's gonna be the Dog Diggity or something, or whatever. Like, he was getting excited. And I told him it was the Amazing Spider-Man for the Wii.
When I tell you guys, Ronnie got so disappointed in me. He said, "Louis, you just hoed my nigga Allen. You literally got him one of the worst Spider-Man games of all time, man." And I was telling Ronnie, I was like, "Wait, what do you mean this is the worst Spider-Man game? I've never heard anyone talk about this game or at all. I didn't even do research for buying the game. I just went to Fall Games, selected what games interested me, and also there was a lot of Ben 10 games down there. I could have gotten those, but a part of me was like, eh, you know what I'm saying? But you get it. You get it. I was like, maybe next time, maybe next time. They were cheap too. They were like $5 to $6 each. I could have probably bought some of those, and maybe the Spider-Man game too. On top of that, if I really wanted to push it, but I was already pushing with the games I selected, right? Because one of them was $10. This one was. The other one was I think $7 to $8, and then the other one was $30. So I was already kind of pushing it. It was already like 40-ish, 50-ish dollars with those 3 games alone. Anyways, as I was saying, like I said, anyway, you get it, right? Anyways, let me just stop talking about all that. So Ronnie was telling me it was the worst game on the planet, and he was explaining to me why it was the worst game on the planet. And I was like, okay, what makes it so bad? In the Wii version of Amazing Spider-Man, there is no free roaming, he was telling me. All you do is you talk to whoever the fuck's in your apartment or whatever it is, and then you go to your mission boards, and then you go straight into the mission, right? And keep in mind, Ronnie was telling me, right, aka Renee YT in this case, if you don't know his YouTube channel, go subscribe to him. What is it? He was telling me this game is bad because of the fact that obviously there's no free roaming, kind of like Spider-Man for the PSP that I played before, and it wasn't like very open. It was very a very closed game. It didn't have like as much missions. It looked like a shittier version of the PS3, Xbox 360 versions of the game. It's like a worse version of the Amazing Spider-Man, like probably one of the worst versions on there. I don't know if 3DS did any better than the Wii version, but a lot of people say this is the worst one, right? And I was like, you know what? For me, like in a Spider-Man game, I don't really care much about free roaming, to me, since I just started playing like Spider-Man games not like Omega long ago, so I don't really have like a long history of Spider-Man takes on what should a Spider-Man game be, I don't have that in my mindset, Mostly my mindset when it comes to playing like something like Spider-Man or Batman or whatever, point A, point B, you point me in that direction, I'll go there, finish it, and we rinse and repeat until the game fucking ends. So when Ronnie told me there was no hub world, there was no nothing for you to explore, it was just like your mission board and whoever was in your apartment or office at that time, you can just talk to for a second and then go into the mission again, which, again, I was kind of like, okay, right? And after Ronnie told me all the details of why the game sucked, I kind of went into this game with that knowledge in mind a little bit, because I was like, okay, since I already know why this game sucks, I want to know if this game is ultimately going to be really bad for me personally, okay? All right? So I went into the game, I think it was like the next day, I think like after I let the game sit in my dresser for like a day or so, not like 2 to 3 days, but I think a day later, after I did my streams for that day, when we went to Fall Games afterwards, which I think was Pac-Man World 2 Part 2, I think. And then after that stream, we went over to Fall Games and stuff. And I don't remember if I played this like a couple hours after. Maybe I did, or maybe I didn't, or waited a day. It's either one of the two, right? So I got into this game, and honestly, you guys know me. I'm not really a big graphics person, so when I saw the graphics on a Wii game, I just said, oh, Wii graphics. I don't give a fuck. They look pretty alright to me. I mean, it looks like Spider-Man to me, for the Wii. It looks like Spider-Man, so I don't really fucking care, you know what I mean? I don't care. It looks like a Wii game. I'm not big on graphics and shit. I'm just big on the gameplay and how it is, right? And I'm not gonna lie, there's only 2 ways to control this game. As you can see, you can control it with the Wiimote Nunchuck or the Wii Classic controller, which they really should have had GameCube controller support for this game. Not gonna lie. And anyway, so I was expecting going into this game to kind of follow the movie a little bit. Like, not a little bit, a lot. I was thinking this game was gonna follow the movie, like the movie plot. It was basically gonna be like a movie tie-in game with the Amazing Spider-Man movie. And I was completely wrong. I think Ronnie also told me a little bit that this game goes into or dives into what if scenario territory, or like a side story, or like a subversion of like it's a weird way to say it, right? I can't explain it. By the way, Slipper GT, welcome. RJ, hey, you should play Super Smash Bros. Brawl Subs Reset for a stream if you have Brawl. I already have done that. Those are some of my earliest Super Smash Brothers videos on the page. They're like 5 years ago, bro. I've done it already. I was surprised. I think Ronnie also told me this too, but I was surprised this game had its own what if scenario, like what if story, like I said a second ago. And I was like, what the fuck? A what if story? Okay, whatever. I don't give a fuck. I mean, I kind of gave a fuck because I thought it was going to be like based off the movie, but it wasn't. I mean, sure, it had the same like Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield's fucking Lizard, and Gwen Stacy, but other than that, it was very different. Completely different. Like, it was just like an alt story. I don't know how to put it better than that. Anyway, so after this story kind of starts like this, right? You load up the game, like, you load up all the menus and stuff, like all the people who helped develop the game and stuff. Then you go into, like, what Oscorp was telling you, and then you go into loading the title screen. You click A, you go into the menus, and after you click the menus, and this is what I say this game is kind of bad for, is because of the fact that, this game took like 5 to 10 minutes just to fucking get started. I have no idea why it took 5 to 10 minutes to get started when it should have taken like 6 minutes to get started. They could have skipped a lot of who developed the game and just said Activision and fucking cut it there, and then after that go into the main menu and then start the game from the Oscorp. At least this version of the game allows you to skip cutscenes really quick, so which I was surprised about because Miles Morales didn't allow me to skip any cutscene I wanted. And this game allowed me to skip cutscenes, but I didn't because this is my very first time playing it. Never saw any gameplay, or at least my memory of the game was completely faded at that point. So, you know, I was like, okay, I'm not going to skip any cutscenes in this. I kind of want to see this for myself, like all the cutscenes, all whatever. My favorite Spider-Man games are obviously the Marvel Spider-Man trilogy. Yeah, on the new one, like the PlayStation with the PS5 ones, if they are, I don't blame you. They are pretty good games, but Miles Morales. Okay, anyways, I won't, focus on that bit anymore. So, one thing I really liked but didn't like in this game was the controls and getting used to them. For example, right, you're playing with the whole ass Wiimote and Nunchuck, which is the default method, right? So I'm going to tell you, like, all the controls, right, to this so I can kind of give you a better idea, right? So, to control Peter in this game as you're going through the story, right? And by the way, the whole story of this game happens because Peter and Gwen were fucking about in a facility with multiple different cross species of humanoid, monster-looking fucking things, right? And they all simultaneously reacted to Peter, right? Like Peter's cross-species DNA, they all freaked out, started lashing out towards everybody in that facility, also started lashing out towards Gwen, and then it turned into a game of, okay, Spider-Man fucked up because he went in here and went in this place. Now it's up to him to save the entire New York from a virus that, aka the cross-species, are spreading. BT dubs. Anyways, that's to explain the story a little bit better. So, this is what you're looking like when you control the game normally. Or, you have the whole classic controller shit. I can't tell you the controls of the classic controller because I never played this game with the classic controller. I only played it with the Wiimote and Nunchuck in mind. So, when I played this game, it was a little confusing because sometimes it's gonna be weird when I tell you, right? So, your A button right here is your jump button, right? You jump, but then when you press it again, you go into web swinging mode, and then you can move the analog stick in whatever direction to kind of keep moving. But then the weird part is, or I think it was like AAB, but then I think you press B while web swinging to kind of go upwards. You're going like, because when you just regular web swing in this game, you don't get to like automatically go up. You just kind of go down, but you're in like the web swing animation a little bit. But when you press the B button, you go a little bit higher. You go a little bit, I'm sorry for showing y'all that as a demonstration, but this is legit it right here. I think a good stream would be WarioWare Smooth Moves, aka the Wii version of WarioWare. I was gonna buy that game, but we bought what we had here instead. But anyways, So yeah, basically that helps you go up, right? And you're thinking, okay, simple ass control for web swinging. But then when you're on the ground, you press B for all the combat. So all the punching, the kicking, you mash B. And I'm not gonna lie, just mashing B to do all the combat here and maybe a traditional C whenever you want to do your signature after like a 10-piece combo, but later on moves down to 6-piece combo to do your signature. And by the way, C is your web. If you're just pressing C by itself when you're not in combat or in combat, you have to aim the Wiimote to whatever target and then rapidly press C to kind of web the motherfucker up. So that's another part of the control you got. Z, like you hold Z down for like web rush mode. And basically, you also aim the stick to kind of make Spider-Man kind of web zip to that certain location a little bit, like in like the little location and shit and whatnot. Not gonna lie to you, right? To like web zip to the location. Keep in mind, in the PS5/PS4 Spider-Man, I know this is like very different, but I'm just not gonna lie. I liked it better when it was like on the stick. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I liked it way better than it was like having to aim the Wii. I got used to it rather quick, but I'm just saying, like, having to hold Z button the whole time and then aim your Wiimote and then release Z to web zip over somewhere, that shit was something else entirely, right? And then also your pause button wasn't on the plus button or the minus. It was on the 1 button the whole game. Now, keep in mind, right, I didn't really need to pause that much in the game, or I mean, I did later on when I wanted to upgrade when I figured out the button, but for a good chunk of the game, I couldn't figure out where the pause button was, and the plus button for, like, over half the game did absolutely nothing for some reason, or minus. I think minus was also, minus was the interact with shit, so minus did do something. Oh, and this is probably the weirdest part about the game, in my opinion, about the controls. The camera was with the D-pad. Ghost, Cody, backup, welcome to stream. So when you're playing and you have to jump and move around, by the way, the camera is not automatic. It doesn't automatically follow you. You have to legit use the small D-pad on top of the screen, or on top, not top of the screen, I mean the top of your controller here when you're playing in this mode, in order to move the camera to keep up with Spider-Man. So it is something to get used to, and then you obviously use the analog stick to move around like Spider-Man / whatever the fuck, and go on and all that other sort of stuff. So the controls in themselves were pretty difficult to get behind at first until you got used to them. But other than that, and like some missions and stuff, I didn't mind like the game for a lot of it. Other than like the game having like a bunch of bugs. Like I remember, what's up, Paul? What's up, Snake Man Glitch? Welcome to stream. Reviewing the game. Who's your favorite Spider-Man villain? Mine is Venom. I always get so hyped when he appears. I think Venom was always my favorite too, because he's just that dude. He's just that dude. But if you took Venom out of the equation, I would have to actually sit and think about it. But anyways, other than that, right? Other than the controls being somewhat of a problem, there were some parts in the game, for at least the Wii version of the game, where the game would fuck with me, right? Like I would web zip to a wall. I would stick. I'll go right to a wall. And I would climb the fucking wall, right? And then sometimes, out of nowhere, my game would make me think that, like, I'm moving, like, still. And I could be completely still with my controller, right? I could be like this. Not pressing this, not pressing my analog stick to move forward, down, left, right. And the motherfucker Spider-Man sometimes be like, oh, the motherfucker's moving when I'm not moving. So watch out for that in the game. And then also, I remember I got stuck, like web zipping back and forth between walls because Spider-Man didn't know what to do. These are the bugs I'm talking about in the game, by the way. Because I remember I was in the middle of one of the missions, and I just kept like web zipping fucking 4,000 feet across a goddamn wall, like I was fucking losing it. I'm fucking losing it. You know what I'm saying? Like it was weird as fuck. Did not like this version for those bugs. And then on top of that, like, I would argue like some of the bosses in the game, which I'm going to show you some of the bosses so you guys can get a better idea what the gameplay is kind of like. Because again, I didn't mind most missions in the game. Like, at all. I really didn't mind most missions. Most missions in this game, they were actually pretty fine. I actually enjoyed the combat. And honestly, to kind of sum up the combat a little bit, the controls in combat, honestly, this game kind of feels like if Batman Arkham was on the goddamn Wii. But very simplified. Very simplified. We got a simplified skill trees for your suit, your combat shit. Very simplified shit. But it just feels like Batman Arkham on the Wii sometimes with its combat, in my personal opinion. I know some people might be thinking, like, Batman Arkham? This game is Batman Arkham? Not like the level of gameplay. I'm just saying, like, it kind of reminds me of Batman Arkham and, like, the other Marvel Spider-Man game in terms of its combat and overall stuff. But let me show you guys some of the boss fights in the game. Here, let's go over there. Let me unmute the TV. I sent gifts, my man. Oh, how much? Thank you for the 2 jewels. I can see them here on this stream now. But in my other streams, I could not see them, bitches. Like, if it's PlayStation, definitely could not see them if it's PlayStation. Let me see. Fuck, let me find all the boss. Oh, there it is. Perfect. 46-minute video. 46 minutes? God damn, this game is mostly filled to the brim with these motherfuckers. Anyways, let me, God, YouTube ads, man, being over 40-plus seconds now, like, on a regular basis. That's kind of bad, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, hold on, let me turn up the TV. God damn it. Hold on, let me fucking, goddamn remote. I actually cannot skip this ad. Okay, perfect. Can I get to my fucking video now? Thanks for the 3 jewels. Appreciate it. Thank you for the 3 jewels. Thanks for the 3 jewels, Dachi. I appreciate it. Anyway, so let's skip back. Let's go back to the beginning of the game, right? So this is one of the first bosses that actually kind of screwed me over, and it's the first one, right? So you start, the lizards and all these other motherfuckers, these cross-species looking things are coming out, ruining the city because of what Peter and Gwen did, right? So you're probably wondering, Spider-Man comes in, saves whatever, who the fuck is that, Mrs. Chen or whatever the fuck, or Whitney Chen, or I don't remember her name. She was a reporter, she's something, right? Look at this boss fight right here. We already have to fight a giant, whatever the fuck that is. I didn't even know its name. Apparently it's, what is it? S01 right there, which I was massively confused about, right? So you're probably wondering, Alan, this boss fight don't look too bad. Look what you gotta do. Just watch. You have to web swing around. Keep in mind, you're barely into the game at this point. I think, like, you did, like, 5-6 missions, right? Then you gotta hit his fucking head, or hit his face. Make sure the icon is there so you can, like, hit it multiple times. You also gotta hit its eyes, right? The other orange bits in his little eye socket right here. And all this other sort of stuff while moving simultaneously. And keep in mind, the same control layout I mentioned to y'all earlier with the whole A and B holding together to make sure you go higher and shit and stay in the air. You gotta make sure you fucking do that the whole time when you're up against this thing. Also go through his backside too, but his eyes. Which, I remember, this took me a fat minute. Let me tell you why. Because, again, I wasn't used to this game yet. I wasn't, like, fully used to the controls. I remember I was getting hit a lot. I was dying a lot. And I remember this took me, like, 5 to 10 minutes in my last video to kind of discuss about, right? And it gets a little bit worse from there, right? But we're going to skip him because we already know that boss. Rhino? Right? If you guys remember Rhino in the movie, the live-action Amazing Spider-Man movie, right? I thought Rhino was going to look like that. I honest to God thought Rhino was going to be, like, what he looked like at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 1, or Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think it was 1 or 2, I can't remember, where he was in the Rhino suit. Where he was in a robot Rhino suit, like, controlling a robot Rhino, right? But no, Amazing Spider-Man the game, they cleaned him up. They made him look a lot more like fucking Rhino's supposed to look like. Right? And I'm not gonna lie, his boss fight, I did him a little bit earlier. I should have done him as early as possible. But honestly, it really wasn't that bad. All you need to do is web him up. He gets stuck to a truck. You kick the shit out of him a couple of times, like use the web zip shit. See, check it. And then boom, black. And then you do that a couple of times, like 5-6 times, and Rhino 1 is done, right? And then we have, like, the vermin, right? This is the first little vermin creature because Spider-Man is trying to get a cure by using one of the cross-species motherfuckers to get a cure to save the city, right? So Spider-Man this whole time is trying to do that. This motherfucker comes in, you fight him for a little bit, which this guy is kind of easy. You just go up to him, beat the shit out of him for quite a while, and then he kind of gets away a little bit, not gonna lie. Because of robots and shit, but that's not that bad. Then you deal with the hunter, right? So you're probably wondering, what the fuck is a hunter? Well, let me show you, right? So it's this giant-ass robot mech that shoots fucking red orbs at your bitch ass the whole goddamn time, right? And you have to basically kind of web them up, like, use your web button, like, all that other sort of shit, whatever you got going on there. and then also try to reach him at the same time. You do this 3 to 4 times, the hunter robot is dead. Now, at first, when I was doing this shit, this hunter motherfucker, this hunter robot thing, and I thought every time they called him the hunter, I was like, wait, the hunter? Are these like Craven bots or something? Is Craven like a technical genius in this verse? No, apparently it's by the main villain of the game, which we'll get into who the main villain is into the game here in a minute, and why I hate this fucking motherfucker, you know. And also, in between the story, the main villain, you know, took the cure Connor's had. I know this review is all over the place. Don't worry about it. It's kind of just like this game where this game's all over the place, so it kind of fits. The first, main dude, I can't remember his name. It was like A Stellar, whatever the fuck his name was. Took the serum a little bit later on that Peter made, which was the first serum, which kind of messed up Bro a little bit. Not gonna hold. Anyways, other than that, you see the hunter droid, you do the shit, right? Now, I didn't think this was actually Scorpion when I first saw him. I just thought it was a random cross species. But no, this is this game's version of the Scorpion, which I was like, damn, he's not green. He's kind of more Scorpion-like. And I didn't really care much for this boss. I just kind of beat the shit out of him, did my multi-dodge, all that stuff, right? And then after that, you fight another version of the S0, but you fight SP02. But then you get this cool little cutscene of like Spider-Man webbing through the city, trying to get back to Connors because he fucked up the serum. He's pissed at him and shit. But then this fucking shit happens, right? Spider-Man just fights a fucking Goliath of a goddamn beast right here. Look at this giant-ass worm there. By the way, welcome, Brinkster, to the review. Right? So you're probably wondering, what in the actual fuck do you have to do here? Basically, you gotta save, like, the scientist dudes from this, and then you gotta just defeat them, which, this took me a minute to figure out as well, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world seeing this boss, right? But it's fucking huge, though, not gonna lie. And then you fight this little mini-boss here. It's called Amazon Prime Original. This is one of the craziest boss fights in the game. You know, totally want to add in the middle of my fucking video. This is probably why you record your own footage and show it off. But since I do them live, you know, I gotta find alternative methods and ways and such. You know? So, seriously, it's kind of weird. But, basically, I gotta wait a while before I show you the next boss. I don't know why. You see why I don't make my experience videos no more? This shit right here because of these goddamn ads interrupting shit. Honestly, I don't like the sequel for Amazing Spider-Man. Oh, the Amazing Spider-Man game? Because that's what I'm talking about. Not the movie, the game. The Wii game. For PlayStation 4, for Wii U, all that stuff. I haven't played it yet, but I kind of want to after what I played this. Anyways, so you fight Iguana, which I don't know what the fuck Iguana is. It's just this random iguana-looking thing, and you fight him for 5 seconds. You beat the shit out of him. I'm just gonna move on, right? So then you move on again. You do this bank heist mission, and this bank heist mission, at the end of it, you fight Black Cat, which I remember when I saw that electricity bomb, I thought it was gonna be Goblin, because I didn't know it was gonna be Black Cat slash Felicity or Felicia, or whatever the fuck her name is, alright? But then you're like, okay, you fight Black Cat. Which, I remember I was interested in Black Cat's design here. I thought they were going to go her approach from the comics. I'm talking about the second Amazing Spider-Man movie that I don't like. Oh, yeah. A lot of people don't like the movie, but I'm just kind of, bleh. You get it. Anyways, thank you for the 4 likes, by the way. Appreciate it. So you fight her. You do the usual, like, beat the shit out of her, web her up, beat the shit out of her. Right? You're wondering, okay, cool. This is going to be another beat the shit out of them, boss. Until they're done. Got it. Right? Which she doesn't last 5 seconds. Then she turns into this, where she throws bombs at you, right? And this section kind of pissed me off a little bit in this boss fight, because what ends up happening is you can't be on the ground, right? She's using the light to her advantage, so when she sees you, right, and you fuck up a little bit on the ground, she sees you, she disappears and vanishes to another location on the map, which is kind of bullshit. So you have to go on top of these pillars, find her, web her, then beat the shit out of her again. Then after that, after a while, like, you kind of, like, after you beat her, she gives you info and yada, yada, yada. Apparently, Rhino had a second fight, which I actually skipped out on. It's one of the missions that I didn't do. It was one of the pump. It was the pump mission where I gotta fix the pump. And Rhino was apparently fucking about there. And I skipped this boss, so we're gonna skip over it. Hunter 2 is not a skippable fight, though. Which, destroy the improved Hunter bot. I think it was like 2 or 3 different Hunter bots that were over there and stuff. Which, honestly, not bad. I honestly did not care. It was pretty quick to beat these things. It's the same as the original. Now, this guy, what is his name? Alstolar Smith, right? This fucking boss, right? Oh, by the way, Spider-Man loses powers because Alistair Sith puts some nano bots in him, which weakens him a lot, massively, actually, right? So you deal with Alistair Smith by going into it. Like, it starts off with you destroying bots, then you help the Lizard because Connors was like, Peter, I need to be the Lizard. I need to be Lizard so I can be a G and help you out. Peter don't got his powers. I'm the only one that can stop him, right? So he goes on ahead after he takes the venom to become the Lizard again to go after Alistair Smith, right? Or whatever the fuck. So he does that, right? And after Peter gets there, they stop him normally. But this is where the bullshit lies, right? After you do this bit over and over again with the robots and you gotta get rid of his stuff, this is why I say the boss fight easily sucks, this phase right here. When I dealt with this phase right here, I absolutely hated my day. Because you have to go behind this fucker's back and try to aim your web shit at him while he's spinning around the corner trying to shoot you and Connors, aka Lizard, right? So I was thinking, okay, right here's the final boss. Like, we just easily find the antidote to give Lizard, whatever, yada yada yada. Again, getting to his backside over and over again, and also having to make sure Lizard tears off his shit repeatedly. And then on top of that, you know, also make sure you dodge the attack that he does on you. Because if you don't, it doesn't count as a hit towards Alistair Smith. Right? And then it gets a little bit harder from there and it rinse and repeats, right? Now, for me, since it was my first time dealing with that boss, I low-key was about to quit the game. I actually was about to quit the game right here and now. And then also stuff before this. There was also a platforming section, which was a big chunk. I think you went back to Oscorp's location or whatever the fuck. And Alistair Smith, or whatever the fuck, right? After Spider-Man loses powers, tried to escape the facility. There was a bit way before this boss, right? Where you had no powers, you need to platform over some boxes, do some little scanning and other bullshit, and and move on, right? And I was dying there. I was getting pissed at that moment, but, you know, kind of haze over that mission. And I thought this dude was going to be the final boss, right? Apparently, after I beat him, again, they said chapter 13, and that shit pissed me off so hard. It was like chapter 13 or 14 or whatever the fuck. Basically, you have to go down here, right? After Alistair Smith was put behind bars or whatever the fuck, Lizard's still going about, right? So you go around fucking about with the Lizard, right? You're trying to find him, you're trying to make sure Gwen's safe and all this other sort of shit. Then you fight this random water guy, which Nathalite was not even that bad. All you need to do is you look at that thing right there, that little hose thing, you drain the water, beat the shit out of them. I'm not gonna lie, most of the bosses in this game are very simple to beat. You just beat the shit out of them in the normal way, or you beat the shit out of them with an item or an object and you're done. I'm not even gonna hold, right? So then you fight the fucking Lizard. As the final boss, you fight the Lizard. Alright? He takes Gwen. You're wondering what the fuck's up. You gotta go through some other rooms. They have a long-ass exchange. Gwen's talking about I love you type shit. And then this Lizard boss, right? This Lizard room confused the fuck out of me, right? So we gotta save Kurt Connors. So what we do, right, is we fight, basically we got to beat the shit out of the Lizard right here. And once we beat the shit out of the Lizard, right? Hear me out. We beat the shit out of him. Make sure we beat the shit out of him enough so where he goes into this mini jumping phase or something, right? Let me show you what he does when he like mid jumps and shit. So we punch the shit out of him, and then he like jumps all the way back. Apparently, he does this mini jumping shit where he jumps all around the map, and then you gotta web up to him, web him up to a wall. Now I made the mistake when webbing up him to the wall and kind of beating the shit out of him. Right? That's what I kind of did at first, right? But instead of like doing that, what you're supposed to do is web him to the wall, leave him there, go back to the hunter bot that you guys dropped in on the fight with in the first place, rip the fucker apart, like rip the hunter droid apart, right? To find the antidote for Kirk Connors to inject him with it, right? But then here's something else that happens. Since you don't get it injected into him in this phase of the fight, we go into phase 2. And I didn't think this fight was going to have a phase 2 at all. Like, at all. Right? So when I got to phase 2, I struggled with phase 1 for a long time, I won't lie. And then phase 2 took me even longer because you go through pipes and you're fighting in this sewerage or whatever. Another fucking ad. I'll sum up the final bit of the fight, right? So basically, you're in this giant sewer bit. You fight Lizard for a fat-ass minute, right? And then you get, like, the credits. After you fight the Lizard, you stab him with the antidote. Like, Connors is grateful you saved him. Connors is very grateful you saved him. And then Peter's happy you saved him. They save the day. They walk off. There's another cutscene where the news chick talks about how everybody's being restored by Spider-Man's blood and whatnot, and yada, 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 from the cross-species virus, yada, 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 and all that other sort of BS, right? So, the game just ends after that, but then after Gwen Stacy and him have a talk and shit, we go to the long-ass fucking credits, right? And I remember after the Lizard, I was done with this piece of shit. I was done with The Amazing Spider-Man, like, for the Wii. And I noticed, as I finished the game and I was about ready to get this review whipped up, what ended up happening was Alistar escaped from prison. Spider-Man was about to go deal with them. He said, nah. Gwen said, nah, deal with him fucking tomorrow. You deserve a break after what the fuck you went through. Right? You know, and all that other sort of stuff. And Alistar's apparently alive, but then I guess the Hunter thing kills him. It's like a what-if cliffhanger bullshit. I don't know. And by the way, like, Alistar's, like, bots and droids and shit, when they come in, and they like to kill, like, any sort of cross-species, aka, like, Spider-Man and shit, and anybody that's related to him, they like to kind of get rid of that. I don't know how Alistar just didn't go to jail, but whatever. He escaped from prison just to die by his own creation. I don't know. Maybe in Amazing Spider-Man 2, when I play it, they'll go more into depth of what happens next, since it's like a what-if scenario anyway. Or maybe Amazing Spider-Man 2 just kind of goes into like the movie. It kind of becomes a movie tie-in game. But anyways, other than that, I won't lie to you. When I played The Amazing Spider-Man for the first time in my life, I didn't watch any guides. I didn't watch anything. All I went off of was what Chris was telling me and why the game was bad. And honestly, other than a lot of the bugs, Alistar's boss fight, the Lizard's boss fight near the end, I would argue the end bit of Amazing Spider-Man was probably the roughest. Like, the beginning part was okay. Actually, I would argue the beginning part was also kind of bad because of the whole laser beam shit and you trying to get through it, because I remember I struggled there for a long time. The beginning part was rough, but then a little bit of the middle part of the game was okay. It was fine. It was okay, at least. And then, like, the ending got rough all over again. I would say this game is, like, honestly, The Amazing Spider-Man, like, is just, like, okay. I wouldn't say this is, like, the best Spider-Man game, because there's definitely way better Spider-Man games than The Amazing Spider-Man for Wii. But it wasn't, like, for me, since, like, open world shit is not, like, what I give a fuck about when I play a Spider-Man game, right? That didn't really affect me that much. And I know there's also a lot of people on YouTube as well, like in 2023, apparently. Apparently a lot of people came back to this game in 2023 and 2024 and whatever other years and said this game was awful. It's the worst Spider-Man game ever made. It's this, it's that, it's this and that and this and that. I get it. The what-if story was fucking something in this game. I get it. There was no free roaming aspect in this game, and that turned a lot of people off. I understand those criticisms. But other than those criticisms and maybe some of the boss battles not being all that good to begin with, and also the last part of the game being pretty damn rough, and the credits being extremely fucking long, I would just say this game is average. This game is okay at best. I would not say it was a good Spider-Man game. I mean, it was good for me a lot of the time, but there was a lot of times where I died for bullshit reasons. There was a lot of times where I felt like boss battles were either extremely short or extremely like long as fuck or tedious or something. I don't know how to describe it, but this game was certainly something. And I'm not gonna lie, I think I'm gonna lose my voice with how much I was screaming for the past 2 hours about this game and about. I don't know if I want to give this game to Rene YT, because I know Rene would love to play this game because I talked about it with him. But other than that, like I said, this game is just all right. I would honestly recommend you go play Spider-Man for the Game Boy, the GameCube, or maybe even some of the GBA game. I mean, I know this game is a little bit better than the GBA Spider-Mans, but not by much. Not by much. I'm gonna be honest, not by much. It's something, okay? It's not the worst game ever made. I can say that, but it's not the best Spider-Man game. Honestly, I would rather play Spider-Man 3 for the PSP over than this game all over again. But without a doubt, I had my fun with this. You know, I spent time on it. I think I'm just gonna give it to Zia Records. I don't know if Rene would really want this game, since this is like one of the meh Spider-Man games. I would much rather give him like a better Spider-Man game to play than this one, you know. This would be a weird gift from me if I was to give it to him, because originally what I was going to do was I was kind of debating if I want to give this game to Rene YT or like go give it to Zia Records for some cash or something, because the game works and there's no scratches on it. Oh yeah, you guys want to see the disc? This is what the disc looks like. Kind of looks like the menu screen when you like pop it in on the Wii menu before you go into the game, like through the Wii menu. Kind of looks like that. Or it looks pretty much identical to it, just minus the Wii, the rated T rating, the Activision. But anyways, I'm done with the review. If y'all enjoyed my amazing Spider-Man review, let me know down below if you guys enjoyed this game. Let me know what console you guys played this for, because a lot of people would prefer to play this game on the PS3 or 360 or any other system that isn't the Wii. Because apparently the Wii gets the worst rap, but the game overall is arguably bad anyway, so it doesn't matter what version you play. A lot of people still say this game is pretty shit. Anyways, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Like, comment, subscribe, favorite, share with your friends. Dachi, thank you for the 3 jewels. I very much appreciate you, man. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. I don't know if I have anything else planned, but I don't know, maybe I'll just go walk down to Zia Records, give this away, or go eat, watch some shit. I don't know. But let me just web the fuck on out of here. No. The door's over there, huh? Alright. I tried.